Today, I got reminded why it's so important to be proactive as a landlord. When I sit on a problem, it will grow and it will grow. And the more it grows, the more money it costs me, and or the more difficult it is to deal with, and the more time it costs me. And as a landlord, right, my name is Chado, and I've been a landlord for over 25 years, and I'm a full-time real estate investor. And there's absolutely no way that I could make money if I don't address problems head on and be proactive in situations. So today I was in the field. I had to go and handle a couple of things proactively, and it sparked the thought for this video. Like, hey, let's sit back and have a quick conversation about being proactive. Let's chat with Chado. I cracked myself up. Anyway, that being said, I have two examples I want to give you. I was on site today, and it is so utterly important to make sure that your contractors are getting things done and moving forward. When they're working on a property, there's nothing better than stopping in, seeing how things are going, and having a conversation with the contractor. We just had a situation where a tenant calls us up and says, "Hey, I'm moving out." We're like, "What do you mean you're moving out? You're in a lease. You can't move out." "Oh, it doesn't matter. I moved out already. I'm gone." Okay, great. So we secured the property, we got them out, and we got the contractor in there to start the renovation. And probably could have been more proactive to begin with. And because we're already over 2 weeks since the tenant moved out, and we are still not ready. Mind you, the contractor's been sick. We had a big snowstorm that held things up. So there's a whole bunch of excuses, but definitely could have been more proactive. I went out there today because I needed to move the needle forward. I needed to look at the property. I needed to see what the status was and see what's going on. Meanwhile, I have my agent trying to find a tenant, and she's like, "It's not showing very well." Of course it's not showing very well. It's not completely ready to be turned over yet. That being said, so I went over, I did a walkthrough on the property, and I assessed what needed to get done. Unfortunately, the contractor, like I said, has been sick. He's still sick today, but I had a conversation with him. He had one of his guys there getting stuff moving forward at a snail's pace. But I was able to have a conversation with the contractor, make sure that it's on the top of his priority list of things that need to get done to move the needle forward. And then also, turnovers are a great time to handle larger projects that are going to be needed, that need to get done pretty soon, but may not need to get done today. And it's a perfect time to do it because there's no tenants in the property. So there's two items that I went over with him, like, hey, let's get this accomplished, let's get that accomplished, get it out of the way. And also now it's back on the top of his radar to get this property done. He knows we're watching him, and he knows we're following up. So that is going to get this property done. We should be done by Wednesday of next week at the latest at this point. So it's a step that I needed to jump in there in order to make this happen. And then another instance of being proactive that we came across today was we had a tenant who was in eviction status. They went to eviction court. They did not have any money. Okay, fine. The tenant agreed to move out by the end of this month. Cool. So court's over. We're reaching out to the tenant, checking in with the tenant, finding out what's going on. Because a lot of times with these kind of cases, the tenants will just bounce. So we need to secure our property. We need to see what's going on. So I had to run out there, and I looked at the property. I'm like, okay, doesn't look like she's here. The notice from the constable was still on the door. Normally, if you're in and out and living in the property, you're not going to leave that on the door. You're going to pull it off. So the notice from the constable was still on the door. The mailbox was brimming full, so she's not pulling her mail in every day. Doesn't look like she's there. So we have obviously an obligation and a right to secure our property. Bang on the door, knock, 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 real loud, nothing, nobody's there. And get our key, open up the door, go inside, and I was able to confirm that she's not living there. Unfortunately, her stuff is still living there. The place is a complete disaster. Unfortunately, in eviction, that happens a lot. But I was able to confirm that she's not there. But I also was able to confirm that her stuff was still there. So we can't just jump in and turn over. We have to wait until the constable comes and locks her out. and follow all the correct rules and regulations. But that proactiveness, while it may not have paid off too much this time, a lot of times it does. A lot of times you go and check on the property and it's gone. I mean, they're gone. The property's still there. The tenant's gone. They're out of the property. They've moved everything out. And if that was the case today and she was gone and her stuff was out, we would have been able to take over possession and start the renovations to get it rented 2 weeks sooner. So that's a perfect example of being proactive. So both of these examples, right, getting the turnover done more quickly and getting confirming the status of a tenant in eviction, whether or not they've already moved out early, right? Because if they were out, that would give us another 2 weeks to get it renovated. Or even when a tenant is leaving, a lot of times just because they're leaving, their lease ends on the 30th, let's say, just because they're leaving and moving out, their lease ends on the 30th, they may be out on the 14th. And if they're out on the 14th and you can get in there and do your turnover, that gives you now another 2 weeks to be prepared and get another tenant in there. So, and that adds up. And again, I talk about the $1,500 a month type of rental scenario, but 2 weeks is $750. It's huge, right? Every 2 weeks that property is vacant. That's like $750, half a month's rent. So being proactive in these ways and getting these things done quicker adds up, right? Even if even if you're able to save over the course of a year. Right, if you're able to save a month, that's $1,500 in savings by being just proactive in that one space. And there's a lot of different places you can be proactive as a landlord. I mean, you need to be proactive in making sure your rent gets collected. You need to be proactive in filing that eviction, right? Because if you wait 2 weeks, that's $750 later that you're not getting rent and that you're prolonging this eviction of somebody who can't pay anyway. So just being proactive in everything you do is phenomenally important as a landlord. So that being said, hopefully this was of value to you. If so, please like and subscribe. And again, I'd love to have a conversation. Let's chat in the comments. What have you done to be proactive in your business? What have you done to move the needle? And let's have a conversation down below. And thanks again for watching another episode of Chat with Chado.